ready, Sally?
Rimore, I've been standing here for 7.5 minutes.
Just checking.
Do you have the map?
Yeah, but it's basically blank. Did you read the case file? What do you think?
I'm not sure yet. It's really not a lot to go on. Did you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it on the way to the crime scene. And it's full of the same weird water that was in the lake.
Any fish in there?
Not a single one. Although there is something in there.
It's a cassette tape. Or it used to be.
It's a statue of some hideous, scaly, bipedal fish monster.
Playing a harp.
Playing a harp. Hang on a second. This isn't just a regular statue, is it?
Something tells me we're not gonna solve this just yet.
Let's come back later. It must do something.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
It's a stone carving. Wonder how it got cracked.
I think it's supposed to look like that. It's an egg.
It's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to say, too quiet?
It's not. It's an appropriate amount of quiet. Spooky. What do you think it's for?
I think it's to scare away detectives.
Is it working?
No.
Oh.
What?
Oh. There's an O on the floor.
Oh yeah. Tangle tour.
Twir. Is that an envelope?
It's been opened, but the letter's still in there. Let's read it.
Isn't that an invasion of someone's privacy?
No, definitely. Little bird feeders.
How do you know they're for birds?
Should we ring the doorbell?
Why would we not? It's a little melody. Don't think it's locked.
Ah, that means we can just walk straight in, right?
I'm pretty sure that's the rule, yeah. This one has a big P.
That's probably important.
How very perceptive of you.
A big letter F.
Of course. Who doesn't hang a giant banner of their initial in the lobby of their mansion?
What is that?
I think it's a family tree.
Fiona Fellow. Dead center. She must be important.
She's half Fellow and half Remington.
Do you think she still lives here? Freya Fellow.
The murder victim.
She's barely related to the main family at all.
Flora Remington.
I think she's mentioned in our case file. It's a big glass tube filled with water.
There are weeds in there. And sand.
It's an aquarium?
Could be. Except there's nothing living in it. Anymore.
Let's take a look at that painting first. There it is. The unfinished portrait of Flora Fellow.
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it?
Looks that way.
I wonder if all of Freya's paintings are this creepy. Maybe it's just because she never got to finish it.
There's something wrong with the crime scene, and something really weird about the murder weapon.
We didn't find a murder weapon.
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood because it stabbed Freya.
What?
Weird, huh?
You think Freya was stabbed by a painting? Not by the woman from the painting, but by the painting itself.
Mm-hmm. Freya was standing right up by the canvas when she was killed. There's blood on the knife. It's the murder weapon.
Right, but it's not actually a knife. It can't stab.
See any other knives around here? Case closed.
The case is not closed. And even if you were right, Where does that leave us? A painting can't be a murder suspect.
Flora... Fellow?
Hey, sorry to barge in. I'm sure you're still in some distress.
We need to ask you a few questions, I'm afraid.
Did you witness the murder, Flora?
Nothing. What do we do?
Not sure. She's entitled to her silence, I suppose.
For now. Is there anything you'd like to tell us, Flora? I don't really know anything about you at all.
I think that's the way she likes it. We'll just have to ask other people about her.
Yeah, okay.
Freya was painting your portrait yesterday. Is that right?
Was this something you had planned with her ahead of time?
Was there something special about yesterday?
Did you talk to Freya at all while she was painting you?
She's not going to answer us, is she?
Nope. But at least we can say we tried. Flora, you were definitely in the room at the time of the murder. Surely you must have seen something? Can you tell me anything about what happened to Freya? Yeah, she's acting pretty suspicious if you ask me.
I don't know. Maybe she really doesn't know anything.
How is that possible? Were you close with Freya? How are you two related? Did you kill Freya?
Grimoire!
What? I don't even think she's listening.
Oh, she's listening.
Did you ask Freya to paint this? Or was it her idea?
What is that you're holding in the painting, Flora? Some people have been saying it's a knife.
Half the room is a big open window.
I don't know if you can call it an open window. It's more like the sudden absence of wall.
The outline of Freya Fellow looks like she fell onto her back. There's a single patch of blood, right in the middle. No real signs of a struggle.
That's weird.
What?
Her feet were right up by the canvas.
So?
So she was probably standing really close to the canvas when she fell.
Let's check the case file again. Supposedly, Freya was working on the painting when she was killed. Looks like she was still holding her paintbrush and palette when she fell.
Didn't even get a chance to clean her brush.
Is that a gramophone?
I think so. Except it's got a tape deck instead of a turntable.
It's also got a big crack down the middle.
What about the cassette tape?
Yeah, it sure is. Pink.
Do you think it still works?
The gramophone? We could give it a go.
Weird.
It's someone humming a tune. It's piano music.
Is that an egg? An egg with bird feet.
It's also covered in gemstones. What a completely ordinary object.
I think it's a container for something.
Those gems look like they come off. Reset the puzzle? I'll do this later.
There's a metal plaque on the bench.
Is there a message engraved on it?
I think there was at one point. But someone scratched it off.
Is that a clock?
If it is, it's a clock with 4 faces.
I'm guessing it doesn't tell the time.
So what does it do?
Reset the puzzle? I'll do this later.
Whoa, nice cape.
You're not fellows or pointers. I'm sure I shall immediately regret asking. But who are you, and what is your business here?
I'm Sally, and this is my sidekick Grimoire.
A private detective, Grimoire.
Really? You're a detective. If this is a joke, it's not a good one.
Who are you, anyway?
Private Detective Hawkshaw.
Oh, nice. Hawkshaw's a cooler name than Grimoire. Maybe I'll become her sidekick.
You're not on the Freya Fellow case, too, are you?
That is classified information between myself and my client. Clearly, this is something which eludes you. But a real detective refrains from handing out informations to persons unknown.
Oh, right.
Now, if you would, I have work to do. It's not in my interest to discuss personal details.
Even if you're one of the suspects in a murder?
Very well. Let us make a small exception. Ask.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I'm on a case at the behest of my client.
How long have you been at Tangle Tower?
133 hours. 5.5 days.
Who are you working for?
I am not at liberty to answer that. Now, I shall permit you one more question.
What crime are you...
How'd you get that scar? It's cool.
You really think so? As it happens, I completed an examination of Flora's room on the morning before the murder. I've been investigating every single room at Tangle Tower. Hers was one of the last on my list.
Did you find anything unusual?
Nothing but a thin layer of dust and an atmosphere of somber melancholy.
Was Flora in there at the time?
She spent the duration of my search staring up at the sky, out the open window. Didn't say a word, although I'm told this is the expected behavior.
What did you do after that?
I spent the early evening searching the library. It took longer than it should have. Fiona leaves that room in a permanent state of disarray.
Fiona was in the library too?
I expected her to make an appearance, but she did not.
And you stayed in the library the rest of the day?
Not quite. Towards the early evening, my examination of the library was unexpectedly disrupted. Sounds of running, wailing, shouting from several floors above. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared. He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. Our eyes met. He was breathless. Something had caused him great alarm. He told me to stay out of the way. I consented. I decided to return to my office in the stone square. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. She was clutching the banister of the Pointer staircase with an apprehensive manner. She wished to know where Professor Pointer had gone. I told her what had transpired. Then, she too crossed the hall and disappeared up the fellow staircase. More so than at any moment prior, I felt like quite an intruder in the house. I took my leave, out towards the stone square. The grounds were silent. There were no signs of human life. Even the greenhouse was without its typical inhabitant. I noted that he, too, must be entangled in whatever was transpiring in Fellow Tower. An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance. He spoke to me of what had occurred. His report was as clumsy and cumbersome as the man giving it.
Did he seem upset?
He was rattled. That much was clear, but sorrowful, mournful, I cannot say. Freya Fellow is of great interest to me. I perceived her to be the most intelligent individual here at Tangle Tower. Within a day, she had identified for whom I was working and for what I was searching. I didn't know how she did it. I was impressed. I regret that I did not question her more thoroughly when I had the opportunity.
You couldn't have known she was about to be killed, though.
I have only myself to blame for failing to perceive the signs.
What signs?
I do not wish to do your job for you, Detective. Quite the stoic statue, isn't she? I can only dream of being as cold and indifferent as Flora Fellow.
You think she's hiding something?
Perhaps. She has some strange habits. I heard she barely sleeps, an hour here or there, sporadically. Spends the rest of her time staring up at the sky. I believe that was in Flora's room yesterday, but it was not cracked when I saw it last. A somewhat cumbersome device, and an altogether inefficient way to listen to music.
What kind of music do you like, Hawkshaw?
I like anything.
What a cop-out.
The paint is still wet.
Yeah, well, we know Freya was in the middle of painting when she was killed.
Do you know that? How? Because you were told? Makes quite an impression, doesn't it? Although I can't imagine why she painted Flora wielding a knife.
You didn't see a knife anywhere in Flora's room, did you?
I did not. I conclude whatever stabbed Freya must have been brought into the room from outside. Unless, of course, it was the painting itself.
Surely you don't believe in that kind of thing.
A detective's job is to examine every avenue of thinking. Conveniently left anonymous. It's useless until you can prove to whom it concerns. Can you do that?
No.
No. Have you deciphered the meaning of those 4 symbols on the harp?
We're working on it.
That's a no, then. Where'd you dig that up?
It wasn't buried. It was underwater.
Someone trying to conceal evidence, perhaps?
That's a handsome beetle. Looks like he might have magic powers.
It's bigger in here than I thought it would be. This one's in a little pot.
Okay, that is definitely not edible.
It looks like a gemstone, don't you think?
A little chart of, actually, I have no idea what it's about. Kinda reminds me of a periodic table.
What do you make of it?
Not a whole lot.
Sally, don't move. We're being watched.
Yeah, I see him. He's a little too big to hide in the bushes. Is anyone going to say anything? Or shall we just stand around staring at each other?
Right, sorry.
Sorry.
That's better. I'm Sally. And the guy hiding behind me is Detective Grimoire. Who are you?
Fitzfellow, the gardener.
Mm-hmm. And why are you so tall?
I don't know.
You work here as the gardener.
I don't get paid to do it. It's just my area of interest.
What's the deal with the plants? They're all kinda weird.
Right. Did you see the lake?
That giant green and purple lake surrounding the entire house? Yeah, I clocked it.
The color is just a byproduct.
Of what? Poison?
It's not poisonous. Not to you.
What's this got to do with the plants?
The water controls all life, just like anywhere else on the planet. Clouds form, rain falls. The water grows the plants, animals eat the plants. Anything you've perceived as an irregularity is simply a result of this hydrological cycle.
Could you say that again, but like, condense it as if you were talking to a slightly stupid person?
Our lake water causes the unpredictable alteration of DNA, sometimes.
Alteration? Like mutation?
That'd be the official term. For us, it's normal. Just nature.
And you're the local expert on all this stuff?
No, I'm just the gardener. I was in my greenhouse, watering and weeding.
Sounds exciting.
Was anyone else around?
Not at first. Penelope came in a little later. She likes looking at the flowers, I think.
Did you speak to each other?
A little, not too much. We both left the greenhouse in the early afternoon. I went up to my room. Then I came back outside to weed the main gardens. Didn't see anyone else. After that, I went up to the garden outside my room.
And?
Let me guess. Watering and weeding.
Right.
Did anything happen to you yesterday, Fitz?
I was up in the rooftop garden. It was quiet. And then, it wasn't. I can't describe it. Could have been a scream, but it didn't sound human. We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
We?
Poppy was with me. Did I not mention that? Flora's room was locked. That's normal. She usually locks it from the inside. I knocked on the door and shouted. Nobody responded. We became concerned.
You kicked the door down?
I did. Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back. Flora was there too, but I barely noticed her at first. Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too. Penelope arrived shortly after that, with Felix in tow. I thought that was odd. You don't normally see the two of them together. Felix took charge. There was nothing else I could do to help. I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything. I found her pacing back and forth around the stone square. When I approached her, she snapped at me. I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent. I like Flora. I hope she's all right.
Do you think she had anything to do with the murder?
There's no way. She wouldn't willingly cause any additional suffering for anyone. She questioned me.
About what?
My work, the plants, bit of everything.
Did she search the greenhouse?
No, she didn't.
You sure? Maybe she did it when you weren't in there.
No, she hasn't touched it.
How can you tell?
Trust me, I can tell. She was always kind to me. She'd come into the greenhouse when I was working, sometimes by herself, sometimes with Poppy. I think they were just bored at first. Eventually, they started asking questions.
About what?
Poppy wanted to learn about flowers. Freya, she used to ask me about the insects.
Insects?
One of my jobs is to protect plants from things that might eat them. Freya brought me this little glass box, leaves and twigs inside. She'd say, "Put all the troublemakers in there." Every day I'd put a handful of beetles and other things in the box. Then she'd come along and take it away. I didn't really understand her, but she was always kind.
Fitz's room is unlocked. It's up in the fellow tower.
This could be interesting.
This is a good example of how things work. I mix that soil here in the greenhouse. It's made with water from the lake.
And it makes the fruit grow all shiny and gem-stony.
Sometimes, you never really know what's going to happen.
And what do you do with this shiny and edible fruit?
You look at it. That looks like it might belong to Poppy. That belongs to Poppy.
So why is it up in Flora's tower?
I'm not sure. There's something off about this.
What is it?
Why don't you take another look at Flora's room?
You think we missed a clue up there?
Not exactly.
What do you think that is in Flora's hand?
I don't know. It does look like a knife, but Flora wasn't holding anything at all when I saw her after the murder. But there's something bothering me. Something else.
What?
When we went into Flora's room, she wasn't standing in this position.
Well, she probably would have moved around a little bit by then.
She wasn't standing at all. She was kneeling on the floor. How odd. It's of no interest to me, but I overheard Poppy and Freya talking about it once.
What were they saying?
They were arguing about something, but I can't remember the details. That looks like it might belong to Poppy.
Locked.